Good morning and welcome to the LeMieux National Dressage Championships and in the fan zone. We've got some amazing guests coming up for you today, haven't we, Bobby? It's going to be another great day here.
It is going to be a great day, but we currently have the amazing Louise Bell sat on our sofa.
And the wonderful, brilliant Louise Bell, who I haven't seen for ages, so I'm very much looking forward to a catch-up.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
It has been a really long time. How are you loving national life? How's it going for you this week?
Well, it's actually quite rare for me to only be here for a night and a day. Normally I'm here the whole week, but I just had my young 7-year-old, lovely young horse here today, and Dynamo's been off this year because he had a mild injury, and he's never been injured before, so I didn't want to take a risk, so I gave him the time because I need him back. So, so he'll be back next year. Yeah.
And before we talk about your lovely young horse, which Bobby and I went and had a sneak peek at, how is Dynamo? Because he's got a fan, he's got a following. How's he doing?
Dynamo is in fantastic form. He's absolutely wild at the moment and squealing while he's walking, and he's just loving life. But it's quite interesting. Normally this time of year he gets a terrible rash, and I've tried everything known to man to try and fix it, and you know the only thing that has fixed it is a light.
What, a light?
I saw you on your social media. You
I'm
put
not
a video
kidding you.
up. I watched that video. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating that something so simple.
A light.
Yeah, and the horse light. I think they've got a stand here actually. The horse light has changed my life.
When you were talking about, when you did the hunters when you were showing, did you not
Yeah.
use the light there to help with the code?
No, we had the sunbed, but with the sunbed,
as you do, laying
These
out,
horses
goggles
are
on.
so spoiled, aren't
Yeah.
they? Look at that.
and you know he hasn't even got a rug on now, and his coat is still a summer coat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So there you go. Things you wish you knew.
I know.
You're still learning, even
Changing
at
the
your
subject
age,
from
Lou.
dressage for a minute.
Bobby and I had a look at the young horse that you've got here. First of all, tell us a bit about him, because he is quite spectacular. And what is going on with those front legs? Because those knees look like they're not attached to his body.
He kind of is a freak of nature. His grandmother was the world champion, Farouche, competed by Michael Alberg, and his father is an eventing stallion, actually.
Oh, nice. No, what? I knew he was...
No, sorry, his mother's father.
I knew I liked him.
Yeah, sorry. His mother was Farouche's daughter,
Yeah.
but was by Vesuvio, so brilliant event horse, owned by Alison Walton. And he is by Blue Hall Zach. I think that's where the legs come from. And Farouche, obviously. But obviously he's got a ridiculous amount of movement, and like today he was entitled to be very tense and entitled to be scared of everything that's going on. So he gets a bit tense, and then you can tell in his walk he gets this kind of, I call it his Tourette's. When he's not relaxed, he starts getting a little bit tight on the right hind, but when he's relaxed, he doesn't do it. So I know in the future that it will get better.
That's so interesting, because I actually said that to you, didn't I, when I was standing next to the arena? I was like, oh, he's quite tight in the right hind.
Yeah.
But Bobby, you kind of explained that to me, and we just thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
Absolutely, I mean, he's absolutely incredible. And is it Ziggy's stable name?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to attempt the main name.
But I mean, he was absolutely wild when he first came. You couldn't touch him in the stable. He was just impossible to deal with in every single way. You couldn't put a hose, we still can't put the hose pipe near him. He thinks the water is acid.
It's a snake.
A snake and acid that comes out, so you have to be
Sensitive.
very careful with him. He's on the edge, but as you know, if I can train him, which it's coming, so I can't see why I can't, to the top level, he's going to be incredible, because he's just world class. There is nothing in the world that goes or has the ability to go forward and come back the way he does.
And I was watching you in the warm-up because I'd already sort of known how sort of exciting it is for you. And it was really interesting watching you warm up. Just talk a little bit about that. You were a lot in the cant, a lot of moving him around, a lot in the counter-canter.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are, wanting to catch up with it and watching the video of Louise, you'll see the movement is insane. How do you even go about trying to sort a warm-up plan out for a horse like that?
The key to him is keep it lots of forwards and backwards, and more backwards. There is no problem in going forward. What the problem is containing him to come back. Obviously without using the rein, and he's beautifully sensitive, but he's an overachiever. It is like riding something that is just broken at times.
Were you thinking of a polite way of saying that then, Lou?
I was actually, yeah. But when you're given a horse with that kind of talent, I know it's been the trickiest horse I've ever had to deal with, but I've had enough experience to be able to deal with a horse like that. And, with the training from Carl, it's been incredible. And what was great today for me was Carl actually got to see him in the flesh at a show. Yeah. Whereas he's seen the videos that I've sent him, but he hasn't actually seen him in the flesh. And I think he really appreciated what I have to deal with. But also, it's great for our education for the future.
Absolutely, and it was really interesting. Obviously, his trot is mega. Like, he's got a lovely trot, and the trot's a little bit easier to deal with. But that canter, have you had to learn how to change your way of riding, almost even just to sit to that canter alone?
Yeah, and yes, it's amazing how much upper body strength you need more than anything, and seat. And if you saw when I was warming up, I spent a lot of time without my stirrups. Which,
I did very brave when I saw that.
I pick my moments. But it kind of calms him and just allows me to relax enough to then do my job.
And anyone who wants to see what Lou is talking about, go onto her Instagram and just have a little look from a few years ago of him as a 4-year-old. Because Stickability Lou, we shall now call you. But and anyone also, I'm on social media, so if anyone wants to send in your comments after seeing that video as well, do send in your messages and I can ask Lou any questions. But we were talking just before the camera came on, and Bobby said, did that bring a level of anxiety when you go to ride him? Because we were both like, oh my goodness, that was it. I mean, he properly was wild.
Yeah, I mean, he really was wild, and it sort of came from nowhere one day, and I have to say he's never quite done it like that since, but I've never allowed him to. But you have to learn from your mistakes, really. I think I was actually too soft with him that day. I gave the rein and he leant forward, and then it started, and I was like, oh my God. And then I think for the next year I broke out into a sweat every time I got on him, just to hope that never happened again, because if I had have come off, there'd be nothing left of me, because he's so tall and I'm not that young anymore. And I would not have bounced, I would have shattered. So it was a life-changing moment. I said to myself at the time, do not come off. It's easier to fall off than it is to stay on. But that was a day. Go and watch it, honestly.
It is pretty spectacular.
You'll appreciate it a bit more.
You really will. I mean, not many people would have sat it, and that's quite a highlight there, isn't it? That moment where you think, I really cannot come off this, it's going to hurt. But he's also one of the most talented horses I've ever seen. So they're going to have that quirk, aren't they? Yeah,
of course. He's, I was very, very fortunate that the owners have sent him to me, but then also I think, I'm not sure anybody else would have put up with it. I don't know. But he's been, just from working with him in the stable, and now he's like a pet, because I had to make him like a pet. And even loading him, he just career up the lorry, career off the lorry. It's taken a long time to get him to do things. Don't try so hard. Yeah. But.
And you say you train with Carl, and actually Carl is a master with those kind of horses. He loves that kind of a challenge, doesn't he? He does totally enjoy it. Yeah.
And I think that, and I could not be luckier or more fortunate to have Carl. I go as much as I can, probably twice a month, but he understands exactly what I'm going through, and he knows what to do. And he loves the fact that I have my own instincts and my own horsemanship, and I think that makes it easier for him to work with me. And then I've just got to polish it up and make it perfect later on in life.
And if we just talk about Into the Blue for a second, we all love him so much. But how do you go? Not saying Into the Blue doesn't
but he's a completely different, type of horse.
Exactly.
He's also very tricky because he's very sharp, very spooky. So he's just as tricky, but in a different way. But when he goes in the ring, everybody charms everybody and makes it look easy. I tell you, it's not.
That's because he's meant to be show jumping, Lou. Yeah. Come on. He thought he was going to jump jumps for the rest of his life, not go dancing.
Yeah, he still does that now and again. Yeah.
And for people watching at home, what's the best bit of advice do you think Carl's ever given to you? Is there a little gem that sticks in your mind?
Oh God, there's so many.
Everything he says.
Yeah,
obviously.
But it actually basically is. But I think the best thing Carl said to me with him is take your time, and also I know because, as you said, he's got the most enormous movement. I have never ever asked him probably as much as I asked him today, maybe because I had a little blip. He was like, where did that come from? But you don't need, with a horse like that, the last thing you do is push it. He's got to actually wait to be strong enough, because he basically doesn't control his legs that well, because they're so elastic.
They do look like he'd be good in like Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance, doesn't he?
Yeah. And also, if he was pushed too much, he'd break, because those horses couldn't sustain that kind of push. And so I have not pushed him, and maybe I should have pushed him a bit more, I don't know, but I'd rather wait. I think he'd be worth waiting for. My owners are very, very patient, and they bred him, they know him, they love him, and they want him to go to the top as much as I do. So
he's only 7.
He's only 7.
So you have so much time.
And he only actually started competing last year. So he's come a long way. I did throw him in at the deep end. We did go to Premier League shows. I ripped the Band-Aid off and thought he's got to cope. And I think that's why he coped today.
And Bobby, you've got quite a few hot horses yourself. You're quite the fan. Advice for anyone at home as well, that I take your time is such great advice, but have you got any pearls of wisdom? Because I know you do
drink gin.
Yeah.
Lots of gin, isn't it? It's lots of gin. I think the biggest thing is for me, I love a hot horse. We're not very tall people. If they're not going on their own, you cannot do it. But the biggest advice I'll ever give is the hotter it is, the more leg you put on. It's amazing. From training, people just literally take the leg, everything off, don't they?
And Ziggy's very, very difficult to get the leg on. That's why I do the stop, take my feet out the stirrups and keep moving him sideways. Keep half past leg yield, travers, renvers, shoulder in. Keep doing those lateral movements for them to accept the leg, and it's still not as accepted as much as I'd like, but and I could have held him together a lot more if he'd let me. But when there's certain times it's leg on, leg off with him, because he's so sensitive.
Yeah.
But he's so delicious.
I think that's a thing, isn't it? You see a lot of young riders and riders coming up and wanting to be top dressage riders, and you train a lot as well, Bobby. And people think, we don't take away our stirrups when you get to the top, but actually you do.
Yeah, you really do. And I've got a lovely new horse now, which I'm quite excited about. But, he really moves, and I've got to get better in my seat. It's that simple. And the only way we can do it sometimes is you've got to take your stirrups away.
Well, if not, because when a horse like Ziggy is not over his back, it's like riding a trampoline. Oh. And I can't breathe.
No.
And that's no good. And then I know that he's not working, because, it's like... it's just going round the ring. And you know what, though? For me, having a horse like that, with all that crazy movement, with all that over anxiety and impossibleness at times, but then the enthusiasm, he actually inspires you with other horses to actually bring out the best in them without actual pressure, because you can't ride that horse with pressure. It's just not what you do. But he actually trains me to train the other horses, I believe. He is just quite the most fascinating creature.
And so many people watching this know about your transition from working hunters and showing background into the dressage. And obviously Dynamo, he's really kept your interest in it, but having a horse like him, is this really kind of keeping that spice and that love for the dressage alive?
Yeah, I mean, I'll never go back to the showing. But the showing and everything that I did in it has made me be able to produce a horse like this, because my overall horsemanship, without that, I never would have been able to do with this horse, because they're not for the faint-hearted, and the best ones, as you know, are the trickiest ones, but it is all to do with all that background that I've had with the show jumping, with the eventing, and the showing, and without that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, or as well as I'm doing it now.
And it's thanking a lot of Dynamo as well, because coming down that centre line in the Grand Prix, once you've ridden a Grand Prix, nothing is ever the same again, is it?
No, and you know what? It's quite hard, because when you do Grand Prix and you go to these fabulous shows, and as you know, I pushed myself to the limits in every single way to be able to go to shows abroad and make a name for myself, take basically apprenticeship of the dressage, because I've been doing it for 12 years. And it is, as you know, not the easiest thing to break through. So not only, times in LeMieux, do you remember? I was not polished. I was not...
I don't think any of us were.
Very good. But I was there, I was doing it, and I was trying my best, and actually got good results, and the higher up the levels I went, because Dynamo is again tricky and spooky but super talented, and actually he was even better at Grand Prix than anything else. I mean, I used to not be able to get through a medium test without him spooking so much and coming out crying all the way home thinking, I can't ride, because he was an idiot.
But we can actually turn that into a fantastic piece of advice.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, you're sitting there saying you weren't really ready to go. Personally, I thought you looked amazing, but you weren't really ready to go. But you
when I look back now, maybe not. Yeah.
And look what's happened.
But when are you ever ready? You've got to pull the plaster off. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is, don't sit at home. Don't wait for perfection, because actually there's no such thing really, is
no. And the ring is the best training that anybody will ever get. And you know, but this thing, if there's no point sitting at home moaning, oh, she's done really well or he's done really well, look at them, they've got all these horses. Do you know what? These people have done their apprenticeship. They have worked their socks off. Look at Lottie Fry. She works so hard. Is brilliant, and she is brilliant, and she's got the best backing and everything, but that girl works for it.
Shit, I mean,
love you, Lottie. I'm going to miss you on Sunday, but I'm telling you now, I love you.
I know, and very exciting. We do have Lottie on this sofa tomorrow.
Tell her I sat here.
Yeah, I will do. She'll probably just not be able to sit in it.
Well, I don't think so. She'll
have to sit over a little bit, yeah. And over the past few days, we've been asking people who've sat where you are, because obviously we are remembering the Queen, and I know you were in showing riding, and it's hit the equestrian world.
I rode in front of the Queen with Dynamo, and she was asking all about him that day, and I'll never forget it. And we are going to miss her so much. Oh, it makes me emotional.
I know, it makes me want to cry. This is not good. I should stop asking these questions. But such amazing memories, and she was such a horsewoman, wasn't she?
Yeah, and it was just wonderful for us to see her every year. She never missed Royal Windsor Horse Show.
No, never.
And even when we were doing the dressage a few years back, and you know, she was there, and I wonder if she remembered when she saw him as a sport horse. And I've actually got a great picture at home with her stood by the ring asking her horseman what was going on, and she wasn't pointing, he was pointing while she was talking. But yeah, I mean obviously I didn't know her personally, but we all felt like we knew her.
Yeah. Your reaction, even just saying her name, and the tears.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And long live the King.
I know, it's crazy to say it as well, but again, the Queen consort, she has a massive
I hope
history.
she's going to take it over.
Yeah, and hopefully will be I've heard that she's taking on some of the racehorses and that side of it. Fantastic. But she absolutely loves equestrian sport, so hopefully long may it continue our relationship with.
But we're so lucky in every way, and you know, these again, going back to a different point, for everybody, you cannot do this job on your own. You need the support of owners or sponsors and great trainers, and because without it, we are nothing. We won't have the horses, we won't have anything. So, you know, this is a real team effort, and I think it was lovely that for me today with Zinquazi, when the crowd really clapped, even though it's not perfect in any way, I think everybody appreciated what he can be and will be. Yeah.
Well, it was fantastic to watch you out there, and make sure you go on the Instagram and find out what he was like and how far this partnership have come. And I mean, I don't know about you, Bobby, but such an exciting partnership for the future.
Really is. And you've got a masterclass coming up at Merris Wood, is it?
That's right, yeah.
So tell us about it. Obviously, are you going to take Ziggy there?
With the permission of Alison Walton, if we can take him, because I think it'd be good for him to go. I think it's on the 28th of September in the evening.
I mean, you're asking
yeah,
demo.
I'm just checking. Sorry. But everybody please come, because it was going to be great fun. We've got a few riders there, then I'll do a demo on one of them, and then we'll have a great chat and great fun.
And you are always good fun.
Talking about that, so for anyone that's obviously just tuned in and they want to listen, how do they buy tickets?
If you go online, if you go onto my Facebook page, either Louise Bell Dressage or just Louise Bell, there's a link on there, or Hock PR. Also, Charlie Hockin is dealing with it, so yeah.
Lovely, Charlie. Well, thank you so much for coming on the sofa today.
Thank you for having me.
So lovely catching up.
Yeah.
You are always so much fun. I've missed you too. I've missed our chat. It's lovely. We'll just stay here. Stay tuned. But
gin. We need gin now.
Oh no, not today.
I don't think it's quite 12 o'clock yet. We're getting there.
Somewhere in the world it's 12 o'clock. Well, we'll now go and find some gin for Lou. But do not forget, there are so many more guests to come on the couch later on today. But thank you so much. And I can't wait to see more of Ziggy in action. And I'm just so glad you stayed on and you're still doing dressage.
Thank you. We've got a long way to go, but Yeah, we're on the right road, I think.
Definitely
And thank you
on
very
the
much for
future.
having me.
Oh, it's so lovely, and thank you.